Hi there, it's MrTechEasy. Today I'm doing my first video. It's going to be something simple. It's just going to be changing out some RAM on a MacBook Pro. Today, since this is my first video, which will be in a series of videos, I'm going to also show you a bunch of the tools that I use for doing all the type of hardware work that I'll be doing in these following videos. This first video is a simple one, just changing out the RAM in a laptop, MacBook Pro. Might be hard for some people, other people it's easy. I'm going to try to make these videos so that someone that doesn't know much about computers at all can follow the directions and get the job done right. So anyways, what we're working with here is a 13-inch MacBook Pro. This one is a late 2011 model. What we're going to do is we're going to change the memory out on it. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to show you some of the tools that we're going to use today. One, I've just got a foam pad. You can use a small dish towel, a piece of styrofoam, cardboard box of some sort. But basically you want something soft to set the laptop on to begin with, especially with these MacBook Pros. They're beautiful aluminum. Aluminum scratches real easy though, so if you don't want to screw up your laptop, you want to make sure that we're going to have something we can set it on while we're working on it. The next thing that I use is one of my best friends is working on tech stuff. Yep, it's an ice cube tray. Basically I use this for putting the screws in as I'm taking them out. Now MacBooks have a lot of screws depending on how far you go into the computer, and they're small and they're different sizes, different threads, different depths. So it's important that we keep track of those and put them in the right order that we took them out in to begin with. So what I like to do is I like to start with a certain set of screws and put them in the first cube, the next set of screws in the second cube, and so on. That way, as we're going back and putting things back together, we can reverse the order that we put them in to begin with. The ice cube tray is great because it has a lot of different storage cubes in it, so depending on, this first step that we're going to do doesn't require a lot for changing out the memory, but as we get further in depth into doing bigger jobs on the MacBooks, we will use all of these up. So anyways, I'm going to set this aside for just a second. Next thing, small Phillips screwdriver. This will be the most commonly used tool on all these jobs that we work on. I have a couple different sizes here, a really fine one and then a kind of medium fine one. Both of these are smaller ones. You have to have small ones because all these screw heads are very small. So you want to get a different, a decent set of small screwdrivers though. Usually the cheap ones from Harbor Freight I find strip real easy, or the heads of the screwdrivers themselves wear out really fast. So I don't recommend those, but usually there's some good sets. I ordered a couple sets off the internet. This is one of the sets from Harbor Freight. Absolutely horrible, sucks, don't get that one. This one right here I got off the internet, I think from iFixit. Fairly decent, has a lot of the different size screws that you may encounter. Some of the jobs are going to require Torx bit heads. One other one that we're going to have to come across eventually, this is a special tool I have to order off the internet. It's called a pentalobe. It's actually a 5-head star, so not a 6-head like most Torx bits, but 5-head. These are used on a lot of the MacBook Airs and some of the newer parts of the newer MacBook Pros. So as I'm doing videos, I will tell you which tools you're going to need in advance. And if you need anything like this, I will include a link to where you can purchase it online, because usually you can't get that locally unless you live in a large city that might carry something like this. I'm pretty sure pentalobe was a Apple, they have a patent on it or something, so it's not supposed to be copied or whatever, so they're hard to come across. So another tool I use a lot is it's called a spudger, plastic spudger. You can get these online as well. Again, not something you're normally going to come across at your local computer shop, but maybe if you live in a big city. Anyways, you can order these in like sets of 5. I work on tech all the time, so they start wearing out, but if you do things every once in a while, they come in handy. So anyways, I'll include links when you might need one of these as well, to where you can purchase these. Also, just so everybody knows, I'm shooting my videos with a GoPro Hero 3 Black Wi-Fi edition. So right now I've got it set to 720 medium angle. Hopefully all this works out good. If anybody has any complaints or concerns or input, please feel free to leave me messages, and I'd be happy to tweak things to make it easier for you guys to follow. So anyway, so we're going to start right now. Again, 13-inch MacBook Pro, late 2011. Guys, basically going to show you how to get in and change out the memory if you wanted to upgrade the memory. So flipping this upside down, the back is towards me, it's black, that's the hinge of the LCD screen. So there's 10 screws on the bottom panel of these. Nothing to be afraid of, it's just 10 screws you got to take out. These back 4 along here, 3 of these are longer screws, as you'll see when we pull these out. The rest of the screws are all smaller screws. So back to the ice cube tray. Normally on this step I would just stick all of these screws in one bucket, and that would be a group of screws. I know they all go to the back panel. Again, I will show you where the longer screws go as we put this back together. So this unit here, the remaining 7 screws are all identical. Now on some MacBooks, sometimes some of the screws actually have a little beveled edge on the inside of the head. Now none of these do, so I'm not going to show you that. But as you're taking the smaller screws out, make sure to pay attention that they're all exactly the same. If they're not, make note of where the different ones came out of, just to make sure that you're getting them in. I'm not sure why Apple has a different design of some of the screws, but I work on these things all the time, and some of them have oddball screws within them and some of them don't, but it does matter where they go. So on this one it doesn't. So I'm going to go ahead and start. First, again, we're on the back side here where the black bar is. It's the hinge of the screen. These 3 screws right here are all longer. I'll pull them out and show you. See how long that is? How long that is? And how long that is. So those are the 3 oddball screws on the set of 10 here. I'm going to pull out this last 4th one, which is just a small screw. Now again, make sure to check yours to see, because sometimes these screws will have a little metal beveled edge at the bottom of the head there, and it matters where they go back. So this one doesn't. So now that I've kind of shown you the different size, I'm going to go ahead and start putting these in the tray just so I don't lose track of them. And again, I consider this to be one grouping of screws because these screws hold in one piece. So I'm just going to set all of these in the same cube here. Now again, some of you out there, this may seem like, oh my gosh, why doesn't he fast forward through this part? Well, again, MrTechEasy is trying to do these videos for the average Joe, somebody who's never worked on computers before, so that they can do this and be real easy. I know there's a lot of you guys out there that would be like, I can do this with my eyes closed, which I can do probably, but this we're trying to help people out there that don't have any computer knowledge and are afraid to do it, because you shouldn't be afraid to change the memory out on your own computer. You shouldn't have to take it into a computer shop and spend a bunch of your hard-earned money after spending a lot of it on a MacBook to upgrade your memory. So anyways, from here towards the back here again, if you just put your fingers in here and pull up, here we are. This is the inside of your MacBook. 15-inch and 17-inch models are going to look different. Still a similar layout, however battery sizes obviously are different, as well as the logic board sizes. So for this job right here, this is the memory right here. what I'm going to do, what I always like doing anytime I work on any electronic components where I'm changing parts out, I like to unhook the battery. So now right here is the battery connector for where the battery plugs into the logic board. Now you want to take some care with unplugging this. As you can see on the corner here, whoever owned this previously has taken this off as well, and broke the top corner off. So I'm going to take my little spudger here and I'm going to go on one corner, lift up a little bit. I would normally on the other corner, but it's broken off, so I'm going off the back side there and just wiggle a little bit as well until it pops right out. So now that that's out, we don't have power going to the logic board any longer. And again, chances are you're not going to run any problem, but if you were working on this and had power on it and drop your screwdriver or something, it could short out a component. So it's not something that I normally do because I'm pretty careful and know what I'm doing, but if you're first time and you're working on an expensive computer, I probably recommend just doing it just to be on the safe side. It's always better to err on the side of caution. So anyways, unplug your battery, that way there's no power going to it. Now here we are to the memory. The memory is these chips right here. They're pretty easy to remove. Right here and right here, there's two little black bars. Now if you pull on these, both to the side, the memory kind of pops up. It's got some pressure on it. And from right here, you can grab the top corners and pull it right out. There you go. That right there is a stick of memory. Now there's two in the MacBooks. And if you do the same thing again and pull it back, the second one should pop up as well. Now it pops up at an angle. This is the same angle that you have to put the new RAM back into. So we pull this one out right here. This is a 4 gig stick right here. This is a 2 gig stick. This computer's already been upgraded from 4 to 6. We added a 4 gig stick to it. So anyways, I'm just actually going to put the same RAM back in. Now anytime you do a memory upgrade, wherever you get your memory from, you want to make sure that it's compatible with your computer. Now not all memory is cross-compatible, so you want to make sure that you have the correct speed. So there's several things that you want to do as far as that goes. So now I'm going to put the memory back in. I'm going to put it in at an angle, and you can push it until it won't go anymore. Once it's in there at that angle and it won't go anymore, then you can just press straight down on it and it snaps into place. Now if you'll notice these black bars right here, these align with these notches right here. So I'm not sure if you can see that, so I'm going to set this here really quick. You can see the notch right here. That notch right there needs to fit into the notch of these little release arms. So we're going to go ahead and stick our second stick back in. Again, at the angle. If you try to put it in straight, it won't go because these arms are going to be in the way. So you put it in an angle like so, and push it till it's all the way in. And then you push straight down on it, like so. Everything's in and working. So once you're done with that, we can go ahead and plug the power cable back in, and we're done with that. Once we're done with that, we'll grab the bottom panel that we took off earlier, and you just kind of line it up at the front and let it kind of fall into place. Now in the 15-inch model and 17-inch models, there's actually some clips somewhere along here that actually snap in to places on the middle of the board. Usually it's along the battery. There's some little snaps that it plugs into. There's not one on 13-inch, but so as you put that down on the 15 or 17-inch, you kind of push down along there and it'll snap those into place. That is why at the beginning of the video when I said to grab the back and lift up, it's because it actually helps pop those out of those sockets. So 13-inch doesn't have them, however. So here we are. We're already back to putting our screws back in place. Bring my handy ice cube tray back over, and I'm going to pull my screws out and start putting them back in. Again, this is about the most simple thing that you can do hardware-wise on a Mac. So I'm going to screw all these back into place. 3-year-old daughter coming in here. Make sure to take care when putting the screws back in that you don't strip them. So if you start screwing it in and it feels like it's kind of going crooked or sticking, then back it out and try again, because you don't want to strip these screws or the sockets that they go into. Usually what I will do is I will go around and I will just start threading them all in. I won't actually tighten one down until they've all started the thread. That way there's no alignment issues with any of the holes. So once I've done that, I'll just go back around and tighten them till they're snug. You don't want to over tighten or strip the head or your screwdriver. Do be careful too when you're screwing these in, not to accidentally slide your screwdriver across, or you can scratch the bottom surface. Not that scratches really make a difference as far as the performance or use of a MacBook, but if you ever go to resell it, the better condition they're in, the more they're worth. So there we have it, all 10 screws screwed back in. I'm going to flip this back over. Power her on real quick. That's a good sound. When you hear that chime, that means that basically it's getting ready to power up. Now, if for some reason you don't get that chime, or you hear a series of 3 beeps, then your memory is probably either not compatible or you didn't get it seated properly. In which case you may have to reverse the process, go back in there, make sure that they're seated properly, and or make sure that, again, you get the correct memory, because you can't just put any memory in any computer. Most of the MacBook Pros are going to take DDR3 RAM, but the speed is going to depend on which model that you have. So here we're logged in. I'll go to About This Mac, and we've got 6 gigs of RAM right there. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but let me try to pull it in there. Turn my light off. 6 gigs of RAM. This one uses a 1333 speed, which is what we upgraded it with. But so there you have it. That was a simple memory upgrade. If you have any questions or concerns, input, please make sure to leave me a message. I will respond as soon as I possibly can. And again, if you guys have any projects that you think you need help with or like me to do a how-to video on, please post up. I will get to one as fast as I can, and I'll put up a video just to help you out with whatever your needs might be. Mostly working on Macs. I do PCs as well, but most of my focus to begin with is going to be with Macs. And so if you have any other questions, make sure to comment. Please give me a like. Also, please subscribe to my channel if you'd like for further videos. And let your friends know if anybody needs help doing something this simple. That was a super simple job. Nothing hard about changing memory out. Sometimes it can be scary to some people, but really it's not a scary job. So, thanks.